to BioS3 Raw TV. Today we're going to talk about shoulder training. We're going to talk about the front delt, side delts, rear delts, the whole thing. But first I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Big J, Jason English from Big J Extreme Fitness. I talked to him on the phone yesterday for about 15-20 minutes, and we are going to meet up at the Olympia and do kind of a collaboration. Now, never talked to Jason before, just seen him in videos, but I'll tell you what, nice guy. Very nice, very hospitable southern guy from Texas, which is where my dad is from. So we're going to meet up at, I guess, the Fusion booth, because he's going to be locked up there all day long, and finally put some stuff on camera together. So the two YouTube old-timers, I think we're the last two old-timers left on YouTube, are going to meet up, and should be pretty cool. So looking forward to seeing you, Big J. And you guys, don't forget, check out the Fusion booth. And I'm going to link Big J's stuff, his Twitter and stuff like that, in my description box. Not that you guys need it, because most of you guys are already subscribed to him before you even knew who I was. So we'll see you soon, Big J. Now, as far as delts go, delts, there are pressing movements and there are lateral movements. Now, whether it's a front lateral, rear lateral, side lateral, I call all of them laterals. I don't give a shit what you call them, as long as you do them. Okay, and the pressing movements. Now, I have not been able to press heavy for a few years again. I was injured during wrestling to the point where my shoulder joint does not, it doesn't hold the stability it used to, okay? And as a result, I get extreme pain in little micro tears that I wind up being out of training for a little while shoulder-wise, which sucks because shoulders are one of my favorite things to train. I usually train traps on the day that I do shoulders. The reason being was I used to try them a few times on back day. By the time you're done blasting your back, you can't stand upright with 500 pounds to do shrugs. And if you do 500-pound shrugs first, there's no way you're doing barbell rows or 350-pound shrugs because you've already, it doesn't work because the weights are too heavy and the body's too tired. So I do traps on the day that I do shoulders. Now, the pressing movements that I see the big mistake over and over again, and I used to do it when I was younger. As you're pressing, right, you're getting to that point where every single one of you who've been doing heavy presses or even doing moderate presses knows from the bottom to here, oh, you're like, oh, that's tough, it's hard, it's hard, it's hard. And you get to the time, you're like, whoa, yeah, whew, whew. The reason why you can stop at the top is because your arm is locked. Let's shut this message thing off. The arm is locked and the weight is being held on the joint. You're giving the muscle a rest. So ideally, you don't want the muscle to rest while you're training. So stay from here to here before the tricep starts to lock it out. Stay at that bottom range of motion. This is why I do a lot of the mid-range motion, because it takes the joint out of it and doesn't allow the muscle to rest. Therefore, it stimulates the muscle the whole time. And it saves your joints. My joints are all banged up because I would get to the top with weights that I shouldn't be using that were too heavy because I could move them. When I finally locked them out and held them up there, it's put stress on the joints. You know, at 37 years old, I understand that, but at 25, 20, I didn't. So stay in that mid-range of motion, keep the constant tension on the muscle. Now, the lateral raises. I've done lateral raises since I started. I found out that that's how you give that cap look, that big round delt look, and that's what I wanted. So back in Gold's Gym Somerset, I was watching the guys train, and not many guys went from over 20 or 30 pounds. Okay, and they had good round cap delts, but then I saw Dennis Newman, okay, on a video of American Muscle. Dennis Newman had these giant, hard, grainy delts. He was doing laterals with 60s. So now the shoulder joint is a fragile joint. To me, 60 pounds was a lot. So I said, well, how come he can do it? Because he built up over time doing it and didn't have it in his head that, well, I have to stay with 20 to 30. He built up the rotator cuff, he built up the deltoids, he built up the trap, everything in that area to be able to use that amount of weight. So in my head I said, well, I want to look more like Dennis and not those guys. So that's where I need to be. I need to get up to there. So over time I developed strength in that area doing laterals. And it's not the best form, okay? Because if your arms are straight and you're doing this, you are never, ever, ever going to get those delts to grow because you're putting pressure, you can feel it, on the shoulder joint and the elbow joint. You are never going to be able to use weight to be able to get those shoulders to grow. You have to bend the elbows and you have to lift with the elbows and the thumb down. And that ain't happening if you're keeping your arms straight. I can guarantee you right now. The form police that says you got to keep your arms straight, every single one of those guys' delts suck. So bottom line is get the bend in the elbow and squeeze them up. You watch Jay, you watch Ron, you watch all those guys. That's the way to do laterals, okay? And do them heavy. I've gone up to 100-pound dumbbell laterals, and at that point I have to switch to doing them to one arm because of the fact that as I go to do this, I can feel my neck pull. So I actually have to hold on to a bench and do the one-arm laterals where my neck is not tensed up on both sides to be able to do the one-arm laterals, or else I get cramps on my neck. But typically, because of my shoulder injury in this year, I had very low carbs for periods of time. I was literally at 70-pound dumbbells for 2-arm dumbbell lateral raises to failure. right up to the show, and no presses. So obviously it goes to show you that you don't have to press to get good delts, because I can't because of my shoulder. So there was nothing I could do. I have to do those laterals, but I got to do them heavy enough to get that muscle to grow, or else I'm going to have weak delts, which I don't. So the rear delts. Here's the one that it's very difficult to train. Now, you can use the fly machine, sit in it backwards. You can use cables. You guys have seen me use cables, crossing the cable crossover, crossing reverse way. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. You know, bent over dumbbell laterals. You can lay on a bench and do them. Whatever's comfortable for you, but you have to be able to stimulate that back of that piece of the rear delt in the back. If you don't stimulate that piece, there's no point in doing them. So you have to get in a position, then even, you know, go ahead and reach back there and say, you know, do I have that part activated? Is it flexed? Is it hard? Is it moving? Am I using too much trap? The rear delts with me, a lot comes into the mind-muscle connection. If I can connect to that muscle, I can move the weight with that muscle. But that's, you know, 20-something years worth of experience. You may not be doing that in the beginning. So you really have to stop and think about it. And maybe even have like a spotter or a coach or somebody like that. As you move the weight, poke it. Have them put their finger on it and see if it's pulling. All right, the muscle's under tension. It's constant tension. Oh shit, but the trap is even worse. Okay, drop your shoulders, relax, arch your back. Whatever you got to do to get in a position to get that muscle activated. That's what's going to make the rear delts better. Now, I don't have the best rear delts in the world, but they're pretty good, okay? And I had weak rear delts. So the bottom line was, the only way I was going to get them to be better was focusing on how to train them and learning how to move the weight with that muscle, okay? And the final part that we're going to talk about is traps. Now, there is no friggin' secret to traps, okay? My traps have always been big because from the very first day I realized, shrugs, heavy shrugs. You guys hear Bruno coming in here while I'm making a video. Heavy shrugs. And I'm not talking about, you know, this whole roll your shoulders back shit, okay? That does not make your traps grow. You pin your chin down, you pull your shoulders up as far as you can to touch your ears, right back down and stretch, and right back up. That's the range of motion, okay? So you're not going to want to roll the shoulders, because you can put 600 pounds on anybody who can stand up with it, and they'll be able to roll their shoulders. But you need to be able to squeeze the muscle up, and then let it flex, squeeze, relax, and that's what's going to make the traps grow. So, hope these little tips can help you guys, and today, we're going to film while we're in the gym because it's shoulder day. So we'll film shoulders and arms today. And we're going to do pretty much every body part series on how the different things are trained. And, you know, we'll put up video to go with the training advice. So biohistorytraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biohistorytraining.com is the blog. I'm Biohistory, and I approve this message and wear the deltoid bicep. Out.